All right, so in our last dive into the Volsunga saga, we saw the heartbreaking fall of a true hero. Today, we're jumping right back in to explore what comes next. It's a powerful follow-up parable about a final fiery ascent into legend. And the story kicks off with this line, wow. It just sets this tone of a deep, inescapable cold. And we're not just talking about winter here. This is the chill of betrayal, of a promise so broken that no fire can ever warm things up again. And that's exactly where we begin.
Okay, so first up, we're going to explore this really bleak aftermath. It's a world totally crushed by what the Norse called word, this incredibly powerful idea of inescapable fate. And trust me, we're going to see that concept woven through this entire story.
So picture this. Sigurd the Dragon Slayer is dead. And the Great Hall of the Jukongs, it's not a place of celebration anymore. It's just a hollow shell. It's haunted by the consequences of one single broken oath, creating a silence that's honestly louder and more terrifying than any scream.
And you know, a disaster like this doesn't just happen out of nowhere, right? It was a perfect storm of fatal ingredients. You've got the sacred oath between Sigurd and Brynhildr completely shattered by magic. You've got Brynhildr's original sin, you could call it, of defying the god Odin, which is what landed her on this mortal path in the first place. And then, woven through it all, are the lies. So many lies. And of course, that cursed ring.
Yeah, let's just zero in on that ring for a second. And Varanat, this thing is not just a piece of treasure. It's basically a symbol of a fate that you just can't outrun. It's been passed from hand to hand, spreading its poison, until its golden circle literally becomes a strangling grip on everybody. It's the physical embodiment of their doom. But right here, in this absolute pit of despair, something starts to change. In our next section, we're going to see how Brynhild shifts from being just a victim of fate to becoming the agent of her own end. This is where she reclaims her spirit in one final sovereign act.
You know, when you're staring death right in the face, all the little things just burn away. All the deceptions, the magic potions, the twisted words, they don't matter anymore. For Brynhildr, standing at the very edge of the underworld, she finally sees everything with this perfect, horrifying clarity. She sees her part in it all, and she sees Sigurd's. In this confession she makes to Gunnar, the man who killed Sigurd, it is so much more than just saying, I was wrong. This is her last sovereign act. In a world, in a hall that has been built on lies, she chooses to speak the one truth that still matters. She is taking back control of her own story, no matter what it costs. And just watch what she does next, because these actions are so deliberate, so powerful. This is not a woman collapsing in grief. No, she reveals the truth. She puts on her armor, not for a battle, but for a final ceremony. She commands the building of the funeral pyre, and she embraces an end that she has chosen, not one that fate just handed to her.
So what we're seeing here is a total flip, right? She used to be the whetter of blades, goading other people into action based on lies. She was a victim, just reacting to all the schemes happening around her. But now she becomes the weaver of her own end. She is the author of her own final, tragic, but incredibly powerful chapter.
And all of this, it leads to the climax of the parable, the funeral pyre, which becomes the stage for one of the most powerful and symbolic reversals in all of mythology.
I mean, think about this for a second. Brynhildr's story as a mortal began with fire, the Vafrlogi, that magical wall of flame Odin created to punish her, to keep her locked away on a mountaintop. It was a prison. But this funeral pyre, this fire is her choice. It is not a barrier, it's a gateway. It's a vessel to purify them both and to finally unite them in death.
And what about the sword, Graham? It transforms too. Remember, when Sigurd, disguised as Gunnar, rescued her, he placed this exact sword between them in the marriage bed. It was a symbol of chastity, sure, but it was a barrier built on a lie. Now Brynhildr commands that it be placed between them on the pyre. It's not a barrier anymore, it's a bridge of honor. It's a sacred marker for their final journey together.
And get this, she even reclaims the very curse that Odin put on her. Remember that magic sleep thorn he used to put her into that enchanted slumber? Well, by taking a blade to her own side, she creates a final sleep thorn that she controls, releasing herself from the mortal curse that Odin had forced on her in the first place. So when she throws herself into that inferno, everything comes full circle. The whole tragedy, the ultimate undoing, is transformed. The curse of the ring, the potion of forgetfulness, all of it is just burned away.
In that blinding heat, the weaver of woe and the victim of the lie become one in a final, defiant ascent.
Okay, so we've got this incredible, intense story. But what's the big idea here? What does it all mean? This last section really unpacks the deep philosophy beating at the heart of this story.
So first, you got to understand this concept of weird. This is the Norse idea of fate. Think of it as the unchangeable background of your life, the hand you're dealt, the things you absolutely cannot control. For Brynhildr, her weird was Odin's curse, the magic, the deception. It was her tragic, pre-woven destiny.
But, and this is the key, stacked up against weird, you have Semd. This is honor. It's your integrity, your personal worth. And it's not about avoiding your fate because you can't. Semd is found in how you face your fate. It's the measure of your spirit and how you react to tragedy.
And that brings us to the heart of the whole parable. Brynhildr could not change her word. She couldn't change her fate. But by embracing it, by choosing the terms of her own end with honor, with Semdiard, she transformed it. She turned a funeral pyre, a symbol of death, into a throne, a testament to the power of the unconquerable will.
And so this ancient story leaves us with a question that feels just as massive today as it did 1,000 years ago. In our own lives, when we are facing things we can't control, where is that line? Where does fate end, and where does our own will truly begin?